In all this discussion about crypto donations to terrorist organizations, if you had a Bitcoin transaction that was linked to your name, you were marked.
There's some new development on Bitcoin. People are talking about maybe possibly building Ethereum on Bitcoin. Is it possible?
No, but it's better. It's better. Apparently, Sam had said he thinks he has like a 5% chance of becoming president someday.
I got $5 billion I can show you if Sam Bankman-Fried is going to ever run for president.
Pope Francis, if you are watching this, please launch another crusade.
We started talking and we realized we should have been recording, but Metamask partnering with Stripe for more on-ramp options. Obviously, everybody knows Stripe, not to be confused with Strike, but Stripe is the more common platform that you interface with when you're buying products online. They have one of the most user-friendly interfaces for companies or online retail companies especially. So I don't know how you're feeling about this one. Obviously, there are some censorship issues with Stripe, but Connor, as you were saying before we started recording, it's not like MetaMask has been the vestige of quality decision making the past couple of, probably like the last couple of years, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of been an ongoing thing. It was, probably about a year ago now that I know a lot of people started pushing people to move off MetaMask, move to like Brave Wallet and some of these other options. Just because with MetaMask decision making, it doesn't really seem that they're particularly oriented towards, maximizing, I guess, decentralization or censorship resistance. At that time, I think the issue was that it came out that they were actually storing information for compliance, like IP addresses, things that you've interacted with, all that kind of information was being stored by them. So it's kind of like, I look at it, it's like using a VPN. It's like, yeah, you're existing in kind of the, the cypherpunk space or whatever you want to call that. It's like I'm using a VPN, nobody's gonna know my identity. It's like, yeah, but the VPN company has all those records. So it's not like you're really owning your own data in that case. And so that's kind of what it is with MetaMask. It's like, yeah, you can participate in Web3, you can own your own data, you can, choose to make your own decisions. But, ultimately, like MetaMask is the third party that is being the intermediary between you and, the decentralized space. So it's just kind of a funny way of looking at Web3, considering that the goal here is to get rid of third parties. And now what they're going with, another third-party payment processor, right, Stripe, to try to build these integrations in. But part of this is just kind of growing pains. Like, there's not solutions for all these things quite yet. At some point, like, you have to offload fiat into crypto, and you need an intermediary to do that, right? So until that happens, something like this would be natural. I don't think it's the worst decision in the world.
No.
Because, okay, you're not going to use MetaMask and Stripe. You're going to use Coinbase and some other payment processor or some other intermediary, right? Like, at the end of the day, there's really only one way to get fiat into crypto, and that's to use an intermediary. So that's fine.
There's like 3 options right now, and I'm on Uniswap right now, just trying to piecemeal this. I know Trust Wallet and Coinbase Wallet are a thing. Then obviously it's like MetaMask, then Trust Wallet came along, Coinbase came along with their wallet for, DEXs, and then what is Uniswap wallet? Have you guys ever tried using that? Is that Uniswap?
I didn't know that Uniswap
has a native wallet.
I think it's not so much a wallet, but it's specifically an app on the phone that like it. So it is a wallet, but it's also the Uniswap app.
So it's like
that makes sense. Like I don't know whether you can connect to other things or if it's just
to
Uniswap,
just like
but
it's a digital
app.
Yeah, so it's a digital wallet that
they're all digital wallets, but I think it's like having a Uniswap account.
You need to have the app.
Or the app would do it. I mean, your MetaMask can connect to Uniswap, but I think that's what the Uniswap app.
So you still need a device with the app, right?
Yeah,
or could I
think,
do it on my computer? I think you need a
it's a great
device
question.
with the
I
app.
haven't dug into it. I haven't dug into it enough, but
Yeah, we don't know Uniswap.
it's a way to connect to Uniswap. Like it's not. I don't know if you can connect to other apps as well, but it like is a more seamless and from the user experience.
Don't quote me on this, but I do think you need the app downloaded on an external device.
Okay.
But like I said, don't quote me on that.
We'll read about it. We'll attach a link about it, and you can.
Well,
read about it.
I use Brave Wallet because they have a native wallet now. Brave browser does, and they've been pretty good. The only issue is just because and this is, this is something else we really ought to talk about or explain to people. It's like, yeah, you have all these options with all these wallets out there, but what happens is one kind of becomes like the de facto standard, and then everything kind of builds around it. And then pretty soon it's like, yeah, you have all these other options, but you can either go with option it, B, that is like not supported by every app and, will require you to kind of like jump through some hoops to use it or whatnot. Or you can go with option A, which everybody uses and makes everything much easier for you, right? It's like Apple, the Apple ecosystem. It's much easier to FaceTime and do things with other people who have Apple, and therefore Apple kind of becomes, the monster powerhouse that it is. And it's like you can choose to do something else, but once you kind of exclude yourself from the Apple ecosystem, then you're bringing some disadvantages upon yourself. And so that's kind of the problem I've had with Brave Wallet, is just that I can't connect to every app. Like it won't pop up, and I try to make it see my Brave Wallet and it won't. And so just the other day, I was trying to mint some NFT, and I finally just gave up and imported my seed phrase into a Metamask just to connect for that time. But so yeah, Metamask is the standard right now, and it is what it is.
Exactly. Yeah, from the development side, developers need to add support for every individual wallet, and so they always start with MetaMask, and then you add, like you're saying, you add Trust Wallet, you add the next most things people are using. But
yeah. Well, supposedly like Brave Wallet, because it works on the same like frame as MetaMask, they say like it should be able to work on most all apps, but it's just been buggy in my experience. I will say, regarding this news story particularly,
you can actually do stuff on Uniswap. Until you can do stuff on Uniswap with it, it's kind of tough to.
So you can use Brave with Uniswap.
You can? Okay.
Yeah. Good.
But I will say what I don't like particularly about MetaMask going with Stripe, and I know there's not a lot of options out there. I did a report on this like a year ago, actually 2 years ago now. And when I was looking to it at that time, there's only like 80 payment processors out there. And most of them are really kind of derivatives of like a bank or whatnot. So when you start going up the ladder, it's really only even a smaller handful of companies that really manage all of these payment processors. So it's not like you have a million options out there. That being said, I really don't like Stripe. I don't think they've been committed to, any sort of impartiality, in the decisions of who they allow to bank with them or not. So that's just another sign for me that MetaMask isn't really doing a lot of due diligence to, put a lot of effort into caring about these kind of Web3 values. So I just don't particularly like that decision making that they're doing.
To piggyback off of what you're talking about there, Connor, I was looking at starting a small business with a friend a couple of years ago, or actually last summer. And I was like, yeah, if I want to create an online subscription model for my business that I wanted to potentially do, say it's like a service or something like that, Stripe was the best option. Like it wasn't even close. The other ones required like way too much. You had to be way too hands-on. It's like you wouldn't even like Stripe's big thing is like give us the payment processing so you can focus on doing what your business is functioning to do. So that's the appeal to it. Very similar to like QuickBooks, which SBF was doing his auditing on. Very, very similar to the Intuit programs like that also from that standpoint. Except the Intuit programs are free depending on which versions you use. But it's very user-friendly interface, which is what they have going for them in that marketplace right now.
Since you mentioned SBF, just to shift gears, his trial is going on. We tried to post our reaction to the 60-minute segment with Michael Lewis, and YouTube flagged it. I think we'll have I don't know if we can put a link to wherever else it's going to be hosted.
YouTube, we understand
here.
We should not have done that. We were just
Oops.
We were testing to see if you were paying attention, and you were. Great job, YouTube.
Good job. Yeah, whoever's watching these videos, you're doing great. Keep it up.
Keep it up. Yep. And don't ban our channel.
So the trial's going on. I know Caroline and somebody else had spoke already, had given testimony. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, heard anything about it. It seems pretty bad from SBF's side. Doesn't sound good.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I've been paying attention a little bit to CoffeeZilla's updates, but I haven't been paying close enough to really have an opinion outside of the fact that whatever Michael Lewis did on 60 Minutes was completely off base. We did upload that in podcast audio format, though, so recommend giving that a listen. Just because it's just so wrong on so many levels. So it'll be interesting to see how people's perceptions shifted, either because of the 60 Minutes interview, the book, or the trial and the news that's coming from out of it right now. So I almost imagine Michael Lewis is going to have to come out with an extended edition of the book, the post-trial version, just print more dollars that way. Honestly, stay tuned. That's coming next, I bet. But yeah, trash interview. They really set it up poorly and kind of made SBF seem like a naive, altruistic figure who didn't know what he didn't know. He knew. He moved to the Bahamas. He knew.
I honestly think that's probably one of the best points. Like, obviously, he knew why. He wasn't trying to do that in the U.S.
If you're moving to the Bahamas and you own an exchange, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the trial seems to be pretty much what everybody expected. And, I'm sure more things will come out, but like, we've basically all heard the story over what they say, like everything is on Twitter within like, what, a week, 2 weeks before mainstream media picks up on it. In this case, it's been on Twitter for months. And, people like my grandfather messaged me. He's like, I didn't know, the FTX, they were going to do an FTX expose on, 60 Minutes. And I'm like, yeah, but he's just hearing about this just now. Whereas we've, been in the Twitter spaces. We've been on Twitter hearing about this since almost a year ago now. So, it is what it is.
I think it came out in the, because it wasn't in the Michael Lewis 60 Minutes thing. I think it was part of Caroline's testimony that apparently Sam had said that he thinks he has like a 5% chance of becoming president someday.
Did he really say that?
I just thought that was funny. I think so. Someone fact checked me, but I think I saw that come out on Twitter. As I was.
Yeah, I'll bet you five. I will bet you $5 billion that never happens.
That had to have been before this.
So if you know what I'm talking about if you watch the 60 Minutes interview. But yeah,
that's crazy.
I got $5 billion I can show you if Sam Bankman-Fried is gonna ever run for prez.
Hilarious.
I was just hoping I get my $50 back that I had in FTX.
I literally got I saw things heading south because I had been in BlockFi, and so I knew what was potentially coming down the pipeline. So I moved everything out of FTX to Coinbase before it got dicey, and then that was when we were all going to the conference, and then that was when I was like, I need to get a hardware wallet. And so, that was kind of my evolution. I was pretty loose with the exchange wallets, to be honest. But we all were early days, so
Yeah.
I can't blame anybody.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, they're saying something about yesterday. They were talking about bribes from the Chinese to avoid getting dinged for money laundering and Thai prostitutes. Yeah.
Wait, what?
FTX, upstanding exchange, if it wasn't for them getting caught.
Oh no.
Speaking of exchanges getting caught, Voyager finally settled with the
Nice.
Federal Trade Commission. Essentially $1.65 billion, and looks like is CFTC, is that Canadian? That's Canadian.
No,
right?
it's CFTC is Commodities Futures Trading
That's
Commission.
it. Yep.
Yeah, I think. I
So
might have one of those words off.
so CFTC, you're right. Why is it Canadian? I don't know. They're actually gonna they're gonna go a little bit harder on them than the FTC. So CFTC is charging the former CEO with fraud, and Voyager has to settle with the FTC and the CFTC.
Interesting.
Gross.
Speaking of,
1.65 billion. If you declared
Oh, wow.
bankruptcy, though, do you have to pay that? Because you're going to
Your
be in
assets
jail
just
for the
get
rest
how
of your life.
bankruptcy works.
If you declare bankruptcy, your assets just get divided up amongst your debts, and everything gets spent.
Yeah,
and then
that's
you're
what I
done.
thought.
Yeah.
So they're never going to get this full 1.65 billion back.
No, unless there's 1.65 billion of assets, which I'm
Yeah.
assuming not.
I don't think they are any, because they're only paying everybody back 30%.
Yeah.
If or less than that. Like, I got jack squat from that Voyager deal. It was awful.
Really?
It was bad. Yeah, really, really bad. And they had to give most of it. They had to give all my Polkadot back in USDC. So because they can't like Polkadots, you can't really transfer exchange from exchange. So it was really bad. Yeah. So I'm glad
Here,
that's done.
folks. Get your stuff off exchanges.
Yeah, no, don't live on exchanges. Minimalistic life on exchanges.
Yeah.
Get in, do your business, and get out.
Yeah.
Bathrooms. It's bathrooms of crypto.
Actually, that's a good. So I did see that what they call DEX to SEX volume, or decentralized exchanges versus centralized exchanges. How much trading volume is happening on those two sources, and it's actually evening out like significantly now. A lot more trading volume is getting pushed on decentralized exchanges versus centralized exchanges. So, and I think, the only reason I can even think that for that to be would be, basically all these centralized exchanges failing. So people are concerned about that, because you're going to save on fees trading on centralized exchanges. It's going to be an easier interface. You don't have to custody your own wallet, whatever. There's a lot of benefits to just trading on a centralized exchange if you're a trader. But the reality is you cannot trust right now holding money on pretty much any exchange that is going to be there in, a few weeks, month, a year. So
Did y'all get the
centralized exchanges?
Yeah. Did y'all get the email for Coinbase offering futures trading?
No.
I thought that was kind of interesting.
Have they not previously?
Not to the extent that other exchanges have, but I think that everybody else has failed. And Coinbase is essentially like offering people every option in crypto. You want to get your paycheck in crypto. Coinbase has a routing number for you to do that. You want to do anything in crypto, Coinbase has it. Honestly, like it's pretty impressive. I don't know if I would trust it to the fullest extent, as we have grown to be skeptical of all exchanges, but if you want to live a crypto life, Coinbase is giving you the keys to the car.
That is wild.
And also, if you sign up for the paycheck thing where you get your direct deposit converted to Bitcoin right away, they waive the fees. But the question is, at what price are you getting placed in the market? It's like, oh, here's your Bitcoin. We spent 30K per unit
That's
on
funny.
it. So it's, those are the things I'm sure that you're not 100% looking forward to with doing that. But yeah, if for whatever reason you need to get your paycheck in USDC or Tether, or you can do it in almost any crypto that Coinbase supports on the central exchange portion of Coinbase. So I always found that quite interesting. And now opening up futures trading, they were kind of doing that when Coinbase Pro was a thing, I think, but now they're doing it to the fullest extent. So I'm wondering how that's going to get.
Well, I will say this, and I know that Matt wants to say something. So, are you moving off the Coinbase topic, or yes?
Well, I wanted to stay on the futures topic. There's some other futures thing that went on, but if you want to say something Coinbase-y.
Well, I will. Okay, so what's interesting to me is Brian Armstrong. Gosh, there's too many Armstrongs in this business.
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong.
Brian Armstrong.
Lance.
The Coinbase Brian Armstrong. Okay, so he this would have been last month. I think they're probably hosting it here this month now. But he basically announced some sort of, it was a venture capitalist camp. I don't really know what else to call it, but he was basically calling for people who had interesting ideas for Web3 and DeFi to basically apply for this event they were going to host in California, hosted by Coinbase. And I'm not going to say this is what it is, or maybe it's going to become this, but it looks like basically he's probably offering to, let's see a lot of ideas, and then Coinbase is going to start funding, these ideas in Web3. And what I find interesting about that is Brian actually got his start for Coinbase with the what they call the Y Combinator, I believe, which is a very big Silicon Valley based venture fund that has basically funded like the biggest tech companies of the modern era. We're talking like Airbnb, Uber, all these companies, and who ran the Y Combinator for a long time was the AI guy, ChatGPT. Sam Altman, right? Sam Altman ran Y Combinator. So I don't know if he was the one that was necessarily involved in funding Coinbase, but Y Combinator basically is the one who funded Brian Armstrong initially in developing Coinbase. And so what I see happening is Brian, now that his company has gotten so big, he's already seen the potential that Y Combinator has been able to pull by basically now having their tentacles in all of these major companies. And he's probably looking to do something, I think, similar in Web3. So he's not just looking to grow Coinbase, but he's hoping to kind of have a piece of the pie on all these things, all these new ideas are getting developed in this space, and use some of the money that he's accumulated, as an investor in these things. So I would just keep your eye open for that. I think that might be, we might be seeing more of that in the future.
It's interesting. I wonder if it's also he's trying to get projects running on. It's a fight for layer twos, right? And so he wants Base to succeed. He's got his own layer two from Coinbase, and so if he's funding, DApps, he's going to want them on his chain. So I wonder if that's a piece too. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's also trying to be the next Y Combinator
for Web3. Yeah.
I'm saying, be the casino owner, not the.
What I wanted to note on the futures thing, and we were talking about acronym government agencies, the SEC recently approved several Ether future ETFs, and so there's this ongoing debate or ongoing fight for spot Bitcoin ETFs. So we have now. We had previously, like I think since 2021, we had Bitcoin futures ETFs, but now we have Ethereum futures ETFs. And so a lot of people are saying, is this the SEC, because it's a futures contract, is this the SEC, saying, hey, it's a commodity now, right? Because CFTC does futures contracts. Anyway, it's just interesting to see. People were hoping it would be big news and it would trigger a bull run, and it didn't. I think Ethereum has dropped in price since then, and the trading volume when they were approved is much lower than the trading volume on the Bitcoin futures ETFs when those were approved, which, to be fair, was in the height of the bull run, right? 2021, but still.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of three-letter agencies, does anybody remember that exchange, that fake exchange that the SEC basically tried to promote like earlier this year? It was like right in the midst of the FTX failure and whatnot. Do you remember that?
You talking about FTX?
No. It was after FTX.
No.
You remember this? It was, people were like, "What even is this place?" Because it was like some friend of Gary Gensler or whatever, and it was like a non-existent exchange. And they were trying to promote that.
Trade anything? Yeah, it was like the only
promoted by
exchange that had approval.
promoted by Gensler.
Yeah,
It
I
was
don't remember
the
what
only.
it was called.
It was promoted by the SEC because it was like the only exchange that had, like it had a license to sell crypto securities or something like that. And so everyone said, "Well, what are they selling? You know, we want to know which ones are, you know, and aren't." And then they weren't selling anything because they didn't actually.
I was gonna say, what happened to that company? We haven't heard about them since.
Well,
yeah, we should
been
dig
wiped
into that
from the internet because of the embarrassment.
No, it was a very.
He's just promoting Mirror Protocol on Luna.
No, it was something else.
But that would be funny if it was.
It would be hilarious.
It's after.
Speaking of crypto being seized, though, or fake crypto, I don't know. Did you see that they were seizing Hamas crypto wallets that were linked to Hamas?
I did not see that. No.
Yeah,
they froze exchanges. I think.
Yeah, froze. It's like all on Binance
accounts that are on exchanges. Yeah.
That's terrible, man. They can't.
To them.
That's all right.
Again,
all right.
Even if you're
like when the Russia thing came out and they started freezing. What's that? Yeah, get your money.
I said even if your Hamas could drop it, it's up exchange. I have heard. I did see in all this discussion about crypto donations to terrorist organizations. There was something about I don't know if it's Hamas or some other group said like they didn't want people to donate in Bitcoin because it was very traceable, and like I don't know, people are getting, if you had a Bitcoin transaction that was linked to your name, you were getting, I don't know what was happening to you on the other end, but like you were marked, right? If you had donated Bitcoin, like people knew it was from you.
Is Hamas? I don't really know a whole lot about them. Are they officially a terrorist organization according to the U.S.?
Sorry, I don't know. I threw that out there. I don't know if they are.
Oh, okay. No, I was just curious.
Dude, I think Matt, did you have illegal. Matt, in your undergrad at your college, did you have a lot of pro-Palestine people?
Yeah, there was
around your college. We had some
good number. Yeah, there was a class that a lot of people took, and it was called like Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Like they had a whole semester-long class about the conflict, which
it was a requirement.
I guess I'm wishing I took it, right?
Yeah, no, I had it. It was required for me. It was a class that was called Lasallian Core Traditions, and the only one that fit my schedule was called Palestine, and it was literally like pro-Palestine only. Like I swear, higher education is just full of that Palestine Kool-Aid, and basically it was like Israel, evil, the devil, bad, Jews, not good, and Hamas, peaceful people, never wanted to do anything wrong, just sitting there, and all of a sudden the Jews kicked them out of their home. And it's just just so one-sided.
Well, let's not talk about this. I'm going to say something.
Relive the entire conflict, we can. I don't. Yeah,
it's a complicated conflict. We'll say that much.
I'll just say
I want to root for the Christian side, but neither sides are Christian.
I know that's the problem.
I went to a Catholic college.
We have to go. We have to have a crusade. It has to be retaken for Christianity, right?
No, I'm good.
Pope Francis, if you are watching this, please launch another crusade.
We need to bring peace to the era by converting
the papal states should run anyway. Reinstate the Papal States.
Imagine a bunch of Italian people looking at each other like, what is Bergoglio saying this time? Like,
Exactly.
Hey, let's so one more topic we really ought to cover before we head off. But let's talk about this Bitcoin. There's some new development on Bitcoin. People are talking about maybe possibly building Ethereum on Bitcoin. Is it possible?
No, but it's better. It's better, and we'll talk about why. I was waiting. I was like, well, let's get all the other news stories out of the way. But BitVM is the Bitcoin virtual machine, and it is better than Ethereum because the idea is to actually offload a lot of the computations, and then really all that's happening on Bitcoin, like on the blockchain itself, is we can verify the computations, but even then we don't have to verify it if we agree. Really all I'd have to do to submit a transaction would be, I would only do it if I think you messed up the computation. So anyway, BitVM, I don't know whether Super Testnet, who we've had on this podcast before, we really like him. I don't know whether he was part of launching BitVM. If not, he latched onto it very quickly, and he's actually written the first few functions for it. So BitVM, what is it? With the opcodes, the script functions that you can run on Bitcoin, you have smart contracts on Bitcoin. They're just very simple, right? You can have a time lock, you can have a hash time lock. That's what Lightning Network uses. There's a few very simple multi-sig wallet. That's another smart contract that's on Bitcoin. So you have a very, very few functions you can put on Bitcoin. But one of the things you can do is they have Boolean operators, right? And so this is saying, is it a yes or a no? And how it's explained, right? If you can create very simple logic gates, you can theoretically run any computer program, right? Because that's what runs in your computer. It's just a bunch of gates that say, they're like and, or, exclusive, or, not, where it'll give a signal if both things are on, or if one thing is on, or if, whatever. Logic gates, look them up. It's kind of a fun concept. So anyway, they've programmed a simple logic gate, and then this by itself is kind of a proof of concept. We can say, hey, let's dream big. There is a lot of work that needs to be done before we can do anything, but so far the functions as of right now, I think there's 3 functions, and so you can check if a number is 0, you can check which is the greater of 2 numbers, and you can add numbers together. So very simple functions are created. It is, ideally we'd want to see things like, a side chain come off of this where you have, it could act as a bridge, right? And however I program this function, gosh, I feel like I'm rambling here, and I don't know if I'm being clear, but the analogy I came up with earlier today is, I don't know if you guys play Minecraft before.
My little brothers do.
I don't know if you've ever done stuff. So our viewers, if I didn't play as a kid, I've only started playing recently, but people can, you can like build computers in Minecraft. You use like, there's some way to make a signal redstone, and you make these signals, and you can, create logic gates and do all this stuff in Minecraft. And the idea is that this is different than Ethereum because it's built on top of it, right? Like you can't hack into your game by building these computers in Minecraft, right? So you can't like change the base protocol. You can't, whatever, it's not going to halt if we have an infinite loop, right? There's no things we can build on it, but it's kind of this clunkier, like, hey, if I put all these things together, I have a 0 or 1 byte. I put all these things together. Now I have it's something that says and, right? And so it's a little clunkier, but it protects the base Bitcoin There's no soft fork needed, no additional functionality that can break the original blockchain. So people are liking it. I'm surprised at how positive the response has been to this. It's become very popular. I've seen a lot of people comment on it, and it seems to be positive within a lot of camps on Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have noticed that.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of limitations. They're trying to see, like I said, they built 3 functions so far on it. They're trying to see what's possible and what's not. It might be whatever. We don't know. It might be impossible to run certain things. It might be possible. But yeah, the hopes are, we have big hopes. Then just to get, I kind of started with this, but just to like lay out some of the things here, you could create the functions on the Bitcoin blockchain. We off-chain can compute and verify. There's 2 parties. There's the prover and the verifier. And so as long as like we're in agreement, it's fine. We don't have to submit anything to the blockchain itself. But if you make a mistake in your computation, I don't even have to run the entire function again on the blockchain. I just have to run the part where you made a mistake. And the fact that you made a mistake, the funds go to me instead of you, is kind of it. So it really, like, it's like Ethereum, the gas fees are so expensive because it is so computationally heavy. The way this thing sounds is it sounds modular. Once somebody creates a function and all these functions on Bitcoin, it seems like anybody can kind of piece them together, and I say, okay, this is my function, which runs a bridge to another blockchain. And as long as my computations are accurate, the bridge works. If they aren't, you submit proof that they're inaccurate, and then you get to take the funds because I messed up.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Sort of.
I have
here. Yeah, so I have here the I think the initial tweet was on October 9th, and it was from this Robin Linus account that basically put out
the guy. Yep.
More or less the white paper, right? I guess is what it was for how this might work. And people have been commenting on that since. So let me ask you a couple things here.
Sure.
So one, and this is something I've heard people say, it's like, this is not that great. It's not better than Ethereum, or it's just, it won't really do what you guys think you want it to do, because it can only be between 2 parties. Kind of like you said, right? You can only have, I guess, the verifier and the whatever.
The prover and the verifier.
Is prover and the verifier. Yep. Right. And because of that limitation, you couldn't kind of do these multi-party contracts, I guess. And so I'm like still wrapping my head entirely around, how that works and what the difference is there between what Bitcoin is, what this could possibly do and what Ethereum is doing. But now I have heard Super Testnet, or I read something where he said he thinks that actually you can do multi-party. So what's interesting to me about this is it's not like they're creating something. They're discovering something about Bitcoin.
They are. Really, yeah.
And that really is kind of interesting, because you think about it, it's like Bitcoin itself was a created thing. Like we made Bitcoin. Well, Satoshi did. Yeah. But in the fact that you can discover something about something that we've already created, I don't know. It's a very interesting concept. It does feel a little.
It is. Yeah. So
anyway, that was my question was about the multi-party thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things, I was just listening to a podcast that had both Super Testnet and Robin Linus on it, which is great. Cool. It's Stefan Lavera. So I have like 10 minutes left of the podcast, but they were, one thing Super Testnet brought up is that it seems like at least one of the things you could do is, so obviously, again, they're discovering it, right? They're trying to discover all of the capabilities. So, is it possible to have the function send funds to a different party, right? Or is it, does it have to be between 2 people, right? One of the things you could do is you could, he said it might, and again, I don't remember if he said it is, or it might be possible to have like anybody be the verifier, right? So this prover is, proving that they're running the computation the right way, but could you have a system where anybody could say, you ran that wrong, and I'm going to take the funds, I'm going to take the bounty. So that seems like one route. There are talks about, and I don't know if it's from the verifier side or the prover side. If you had, I don't know. I wonder if you could run a prover account on like another blockchain, or you have some, and this is like a side chain thing. If I could have a consensus mechanism that we all agree on, and we all collectively are running the prover account or the verifier. I don't know which side we'd run. But this might be a way to do the bridge thing, right? If we collectively from a different system, anyway, again, they're looking at the capabilities. I might be saying it wrong. Definitely dig more into it. But yeah, interesting things.
To accomplish anything that requires collective consensus exactly. Or effort, though.
At the very least, I wonder if you could create a multi-sig contract, right? And say all three of us, maybe it's a 2 of 3 multi-sig, and have that be one of the two parties, right? So I don't know, like that might be a possibility as well. Kind of side note here, and for anyone, looking to the future here, in a couple of weeks here, we're going to have Willem Schroe, who is, I don't know if you pronounce his name right. He is the founder of Botanics, who is creating what they're calling the Spider Chain, which is going to be a layer 2 on Bitcoin. Again, talking about discovering things. They're a no soft fork. We're just going to use things Bitcoin's already capable of and put them together in a way that is going to allow us to have this, trustworthy two-way bridge, onto our Spider Chain. That's what they're calling it. So I'm gonna be really curious to see what his thoughts are on. I wonder if this BitVM is gonna be helpful. I don't know if it's a competitor to him. Someone may be able to make a side chain on there easier than what he's doing. Anyway, it's definitely the story to follow. Definitely big. Again, I think the thing I'm most impressed by is the fact that a lot of people like it.
That is really curious happening. And I'm just looking at the clock, and I think
just
about to end it here. But I think this is important for, like you say, people to kind of pay attention to, because we really kind of have this polar world where it's like, it's really hard for me to imagine that Bitcoin is actually going to develop in such a way that Ethereum is going to be, defunct. But the reality is, like, the space is so new, and it's like there are so many things that could happen. You don't really know like what's going to be the winning narrative or whatnot. So, particularly for types of people that might listen to our podcast, like Christians and whatnot, you can't put all your eggs in one basket here. You really have to be open to a lot of opportunities in this space. And, ideally, whatever does develop, you want to make sure it preserves, these values that we find important. That's why I think it's really important for us to like pay attention to what's happening here with Bitcoin, because like if this space really takes off, like we're at the beginning of this right now. And so talking about what it's actually going to look like 10 years down the road, well, it's going to look like what we do here now. So this is why it's kind of important to pay attention to these things, I think.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, let's wrap it up. This is going to be longer than our normal episodes.
No, I mean, it'll be as long as a normal episode, but regardless of that, it's great just kind of venting with everybody and talking about the market and what's been going on from a current event standpoint. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up on the podcast. Clearly, you got to listen to us ramble because we weren't able to get a guest tonight. But moving forward, we have a lot of awesome stuff locked in and to look forward to in the coming weeks. So stay tuned, everybody. A lot of awesome stuff happening. Please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications when new videos come out, because that will be your best way to get them as soon as they come out. And please follow us on Twitter. So we'll engage with you there. If you have any questions or critiques or attacks for the podcast, Matt or Connor will engage you. So, all right, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week. Peace.